This man was the composer for the 1990 National Day song One People, One Nation, One Singapore, and is the youngest artist and first jazz musician to be granted the Cultural Medallion in 2002. Meet local legend Jeremy Monteiro. Since the age of 3, Jeremy Monteiro showed a strong interest in music, as he would often be found singing, playing the melodica and toy pianos, even creating his own drum set. When he was 6, Monteiro performed on a full-size organ in front of his father's friends and impressed them so much that they urged his father to get him proper musical education, eventually enrolling him in piano lessons. However, he lost interest after a few years and even resorted to injuring himself just to avoid piano practice. At 11, he was introduced to Tan, a piano teacher who reawakened his love for music, and by the time he was 14, he decided to pursue music as a full-time career. And in 1976, when he was 16, he got the opportunity to perform his first gig at the now defunct Country Club Hotel. And a year later, in 1977, he became the band leader at Club 392, where he performed with Rahim Hamid, Tony Castillo, and fellow Cultural Medallion winner Rahimah Rahim. In the same year, he was asked to be a session pianist with the label EMI Records, and was also a music director at the Polygram Records between 1984 and 1989. While at the two record companies, he had the opportunity to work with music icons such as Francis Yip, Anita Sarawak, Teresa Teng, and other Singapore and Malaysian artists on more than 300 albums. And in 1988, his career as an international jazz musician achieved a breakthrough when he played at the prestigious Monteiro Jazz Festival, becoming the first Singaporean to perform at the festival, even receiving a standing ovation. And back home in Singapore, Jeremy Monteiro had the prestige of being the music director and arranger for 3 National Day songs: Stand Up for Singapore, Count on Me Singapore, We Are Singapore, as well as being the composer of the 1990 National Day song One People, One Nation, One Singapore. But after recording more than 40 albums, performing live at more than 3,000 shows, and composing more than 700 pieces, including campaign songs and jingles, the question is, where is Jeremy Monteiro now? Hi, Mr. Jeremy Monteiro.
Hey, hi, Jeremiah. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Nice to meet you.
What a pleasure.
Same here, same here. Shall we?
Oh, yes. After getting in touch with the King of Swing, he kindly invited us over to his studio for a quick chat. Hi, Mr. Jeremy Monteiro. What a pleasure to be with the man synonymous with jazz and swing music. Speaking about swing music, I heard you have a nickname called the King of Swing. Can you maybe explain what that means? Like, what is swing music?
Well, swing is like more like a feeling. Just like when music grooves, everyone feels it, pretty much in their hearts. But it's also a genre of music, music that's surprisingly, the Japanese press who first called me Singapore's King of Swing. But the cooler title is the title the rappers in Singapore gave me.
Okay.
They call me J-Mo.
Oh, hey, that's quite cool actually. J-Mo, can I call you that from now on?
No.
So do you consider yourself a prodigy?
No, there's so many greater prodigies. A prodigy is someone who very often is just a flash in the pan, and then by the time they reach 18 years old, they disappear. And I've been doing this for 48 years. I've been a professional musician, and 58 years since I started playing the piano. I think if you have just a little bit of talent and you're willing to put in the time, you will actually become a lot better than the guy who's supposed to be talented.
I understand that you had piano lessons and shortly you lost interest and then you dropped out, right? You injured your hand on purpose.
My leg.
Oh, your leg?
The scar only a few years ago, the scar disappeared completely. One day I said, I really don't want to practice. I was learning how to use the pedal, so I went to start my father's motorcycle and just burned my leg on and came back and said, oh mom, I cannot practice anymore, I burned my leg. She puts butter, the old wife's remedy. After that she said, you feeling better now? Yeah, I said, yeah, okay, now you can go and practice, but you don't have to press the pedal. Gonna backfire. She then went to look for another piano teacher, and she found this piano teacher by the name of Mr. Tan Tong, and he made me fall in love with the piano again. He was talking about feeling or something ethereal he could actually demonstrate, and you would feel it, you would feel your hair stand. And the beautiful thing about Tan Tong is that he then taught me how to teach myself. So in essence, I actually didn't need a piano teacher after him.
It's like teach a man how to fish and he will never go hungry.
And fish well, right?
Yeah. So fast forward, you were working at 2 record companies in your 20s, right? And as a young adult, you were working with big names. So how was that like? And could you share with us what was the work that you are most proud of?
First was as a pianist for Matthew and the Mandarins.
Oh yeah, Singapore Come.
Yeah, you remember?
Yeah,
wow,
I know
great.
that song. Yeah.
And of course, the shock of going from a professional music career, already doing what most people do in their adulthood, in the age of 16, 17, going to the army, It was very, very frustrating. So what kept my sanity is that I got my tape player in my bunk. Every night before I slept, I would actually play the album that I recorded with Tracy Huang or Anita Sarawak to remind me who I am. They said, okay, you go to the School of Military Medicine, and I studied to be a combat medic. I remember one day I was riding my motorcycle home on a huge traffic jam, and a whiff to the front, there was a guy on the floor. He was hit by a car and bleeding all over the floor. And I called a GP car, took the medical kit and patched him up and called the ambulance to take him to the hospital. So I believe I learned to be a medic to save this one guy's life. No other reason.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, you did a fundraising concert in Singapore just to fly and perform at the prestigious Monteiro Jazz Festival in 1988.
Your research is very extensive. Thank you so much.
You have an extensive career. Besides financially, were there any other struggles that you faced during your time as a musician back then?
So back then it was a struggle. I mean, to go to Monteiro, when I had the chance to go and play on the main stage of the Monteiro Jazz Festival, actually I felt I wasn't musically ready. The opportunities come before you're ready, then you just have to rise to the occasion.
Given a chance, would you want to go back and change anything at all from your illustrious career?
Not at all. I mean, I've made a lot of mistakes. I've done things that are good, bad, and ugly. When I was playing, I was already so nervous at my first session, right? When I was dubbing my piano part, correcting some mistakes I made during the live session, the producer pressed the talkback button in the control room and asked the music director, what type of lousy pianist you bring? Either I cry and run away and never come back because I was only 16, 17 years old, right? Or I just come back and then I'll show him, you know. Then you end up showing him, and then when you show him, this guy is serious, he starts to respect you, and you can see the shift in behavior over the time.
An important part of your growing years.
Very much so.
What do you think of the jazz scene in Singapore?
It's a very interesting jazz scene. We have more world-class jazz musicians in Singapore than we've ever had in our history. I have a drummer that I play with now, he's only 21 years old, and he plays like a 40-year-old professional because he learned everything from YouTube. It's just mind-boggling.
The future looks bright for the jazz scene and the younger generation of musicians in Singapore.
No, but there's no and then there's a but. You really can't make money being a jazz musician. Back in the day, I could sell CDs, you know. So my best-selling CD is about 40,000 copies. Each CD, I could sell distributor price for $10. That's $400,000. Now the same performance on streaming, I'll only get 12,000 US. There's no money in music anymore. Don't get a fallback. If you love it, right, don't use the excuse of having to go to school to learn economics to neglect your music or your art. Your job is what you do to pay the bills. If I can't get a play to act in, I go and wait tables at the Olive Garden, right? And then I wait for my 6-week run off Broadway or on Broadway as an actor or actress, and then earn that money for a while. Then after that, I just pay the bills, I go back to my job and then wait for the chance to do my work again.
No matter what, if you have the passion, you will find a way.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so we spoke about your past. What is Jeremy Monteiro up to nowadays, and what's next for you?
I feel like I'm just getting started, even though I've been doing this for 48 years. The reason why I took the film scoring course was to try and dust off my chops in large ensemble writing. Next thing you know, I got 2 commissions to write large ensemble pieces, you know, for next year SG60.
Oh, wow.
And then a Hollywood film placement company just came out of nowhere and asked me if I would write for them. So it's like, wow, you know, I didn't really plan. I just did this for interest. Next thing you know, I have all this work, right? I'm still traveling the world, playing the music for the people who love to listen to me. So what other better way is there for me to live this life?
Many would love to see you live performing. What advice can you give to the up and coming or even current musicians in Singapore?
As a jazz musician, there are 3 things you need to do. 1 is to build repertoire, 2 is to learn how to master your instrument, and 3 is to develop beautiful phrasing. Because the difference between craft and art for a musician is to have a huge sense and ability in phrasing. Build your community and love your audience. And if you do that with your audience, when you say, hey, I've got a big concert, I need to get to raise some money for this or that, people will come and help you, whether it's small amounts or whatever. Oh, I'm good, so you want to come and see me, you don't want to come down. No, you can't do that, not in today's context.
And now you know the legend of Jeremy Monteiro, Singapore's most prominent jazz musician, responsible for a number of Singapore's iconic National Day songs, as well as numerous hits from artists all around the world. His legacy has set the tone and bar for many musicians to achieve, and his timeless pieces will remain close to the hearts of countless generations to come. Let us know your thoughts and who you'd like to see featured next in Our Local Legends. Where are they now?